Biomed, Nexus Daily Updates, your essential biotech, medtech, and pharma recap. No noise, just what matters. TLDR Beeline Medicines emerged from stealth with a 300 meters Series A led by Bain Capital and 5 immune disease assets licensed from Bristol Myers Squibb, BMY. Lead program afimetoran is a once-daily oral therapy for systemic lupus erythematosus, with Phase 2 data expected in H2 2026. Saqib Islam is CEO. Takeda, TAC, terminated its partnership with Japanese biotech Veritas In Silico on an mRNA targeting program, the latest in a series of partnership cuts under incoming CEO Julie Kim's portfolio simplification. Astellas confirmed layoffs at its Seattle-based Universal Cells stem cell therapy unit will affect approximately 50 employees, part of the ongoing consolidation of its cell therapy operations. Pharma Q1 earnings season begins next week. Novo Nordisk will report the first revenue numbers from oral Wegovy. Investors will watch for commentary on Foundayo competition, Section 232 tariff positioning, and M&A capacity. Executive takeaway Beeline Medicines is a textbook example of how big pharma pipeline pruning creates biotech opportunity. BMS spent years developing these 5 assets internally. When the strategic fit no longer worked, rather than shelving them, BMS partnered with Bain Capital to spin them into a new company with dedicated capital and management focus. Bain gets an instant late-stage pipeline anchored by afimetoran, a TLR7/8 inhibitor nearing pivotal development in lupus. BMS retains economics through the licensing structure and clears its own pipeline for higher priority programs. The 300 mm Series A, one of the largest of 2026, funds Beeline through pivotal development without needing to return to capital markets in the near term. Meanwhile, Takeda continues to narrow its focus. Incoming CEO Julie Kim, who takes over in June, has accelerated partnership terminations, Denali on frontotemporal dementia earlier this month, and now Veritas In Silico on mRNA. These moves signal a more disciplined portfolio strategy at Takeda. The Q1 earnings season starting next week will show whether this pruning strategy is broader across pharma or specific to companies with particular growth challenges. Read full analysis, what to watch, Beeline afimetoran Phase 2, readout, data from the ongoing Phase 2 trial in systemic lupus erythematosus is expected to complete in H2 2026. Pivotal trial design will be informed by those results. Takeda portfolio under Julie Kim. With the CEO transition scheduled for June 2026, watch for additional partnership terminations, divestitures, and strategic reprioritization. Early signals point to a leaner pipeline focused on the zasocitinib inflammation franchise. Pharma Q1 earning season starts Tuesday. Novo Nordisk reports first oral Wegovy revenue data. Johnson & Johnson, Lilly, and other large caps will provide early read on Foundayo competition, MFN pricing impact, and deal appetite. Revolution Medicines AACR presentation, April 20. Earlier phase data on daraxonrasib plus chemotherapy in first-line metastatic PDAC. First signal on whether the combination approach is worth the Phase 3 bet Revolution is making. Top story, Beeline Medicines, debuts with 300 meters and a BMS-licensed immune pipeline. What happened? Beeline Medicines emerged from stealth on Wednesday with a 300 meters Series A, financing led by Bain Capital. The company was originally formed in July 2025 when Bain Capital Life Sciences and BMS reached an agreement to spin 5 immune disease assets into a new biotech. Beeline is based in Stamford, Connecticut and Boston. Saqib Islam is CEO. The pipeline, 5 programs licensed from BMS, afimetoran, lead asset, once-daily oral immune modulating therapy in Phase 2 for systemic lupus erythematosus, SLE. Phase 1b proof-of-concept data in cutaneous lupus showed pharmacodynamic profile supporting rapid and durable response. Phase 2 expected to complete H2 2026, followed by pivotal development. BMS 986326, IL-2 CD25 fusion protein in Phase 1b for atopic dermatitis and lupus, CLE and SLE. TYK2 inhibitor, once daily oral program in plaque psoriasis with potential in rare immunological diseases. 2 preclinical programs targeting IL-8 and IL-10. Executive impact, the Beeline debut is strategically significant for 3 reasons. First, it validates the spin-out model as a mechanism for pharma to monetize pipeline assets without full divestiture. BMS retains economics through the licensing structure while clearing bench space for higher priority programs. Second, the $300 million of financing is one of the largest Series A rounds of 2026, reflecting investor appetite for late-stage immune disease assets with defined regulatory paths. Afimetoran's positioning, a once-daily oral therapy for lupus, targets a space that has generated significant interest but has yet to produce an approved oral therapy in SLE. If Phase 2 data read out well in H2 2026, Beeline immediately becomes a legitimate competitor in the SLE market dominated by GSK's Benlysta and AstraZeneca's Safnello. The company says the $300 million will fund operations into late-stage clinical development without requiring additional capital raises in the near term. Corporate and business developments, Takeda terminates Veritas In Silico partnership. What happened? Takeda confirmed it is terminating its partnership with Japanese biotech Veritas In Silico, which focused on mRNA targeting programs. This follows Takeda's April 3rd termination of its 8-year partnership with Denali Therapeutics on a frontotemporal dementia program, and earlier portfolio actions including the 634 U.S. job cuts announced in March. Executive impact, incoming CEO Julie Kim takes over in June 2026 and is clearly reshaping Takeda's pipeline priorities ahead of the transition. The pattern is consistent. Terminate external partnerships in areas that no longer fit the strategic focus, preserve capital for internal programs with near-term revenue potential, and consolidate operations. For biotechs with Takeda partnerships, this is a signal to proactively assess status rather than wait for notification. Astellas closes Universal Cells Stem Cell Unit. ALPMF Astellas confirmed it will close its Seattle-based Universal Cells Stem Cell Therapy Unit, affecting approximately 50 employees. The move continues a broader consolidation of Astellas cell therapy operations. Universal Cells was focused on universal donor cells for allogeneic therapies. The closure continues the cell therapy restructuring at Astellas that has unfolded over the past 18 months. The week ahead now, Foundayo, or Forglipron, Week 2 of commercial availability, April 21, AACR late-breaking data, daraxonrasib plus chemo in 1L-PDAC, earlier phase RVMD, April 21, Pharma Q1 earnings season begins, various, April 22 to 24, ACE 2026, Las Vegas, late April, Pharma Partnering US Summit, San Diego, May 6, Royalty Pharma Q1 earnings, May 12 to 14, Fierce Biotech Week, Boston, RID, Full Analysis, Biomed, Nexus, Pro, Institutional Intelligence Brief, The Spin-Out, Playbook. The BMS Bain Beeline structure may be the most efficient pharma pipeline pruning vehicle we have seen in years. Here is how it works. The problem: Big Pharma develops more assets than it can commercialize. When a drug no longer fits strategic priorities, the traditional options are to shelve it, write off R&D investment, out-license it, capture partial economics but lose control, or divest, sell for a discount. None of these fully capture the asset's potential. The Beeline solution: BMS licensed 5 assets to a new entity funded by Bain Capital. BMS retains economics through the licensing structure, upfront, milestones, royalties. Bain gets an instant late-stage pipeline with a dedicated team and capital. The new company operates with biotech-level focus and agility, not the organizational overhead of a pharma giant. Why it works: the structure preserves upside for BMS while giving the assets a better chance of reaching approval. It creates a viable biotech without the traditional seed to Series A to Series B capital grinds. And it aligns incentives. Beeline management only succeeds if the assets reach market. Expect more of these structures in 2026, with 170 bead in patent cliff exposure coming through 2030 and the M&A wave consuming late-stage biotechs. The middle of the development curve needs new capital vehicles. The Beeline model provides one. SLE market, where afimetoran fits, systemic lupus, erythematosus, affects approximately 5 million Americans and 5 million people globally. The market is dominated by Benlysta, belimumab, GSK, IV and sub-Q, approved 2011. 2024 revenue, Wardtol, 5B, broad SLE use including lupus nephritis, Safnilo, anifrolumab, AstraZeneca. Type 1 IFN receptor blocker, approved 2021. 2024 revenue, 650 million. Benefits of oral dosing. Both current standards are biologics requiring infusion or injection. A once-daily oral with comparable efficacy would address a significant patient preference gap. Afimetoran targets a pair of receptor proteins involved in immune regulation, a pathway implicated in lupus pathogenesis but not yet validated by an approved drug in SLE. The Phase 1b proof-of-concept data in cutaneous lupus was encouraging. The Phase 2 readout in H2 2026 will determine whether afimetoran belongs in the same competitive tier as biologics or represents a genuine step forward. Competitive context. Several other companies are developing oral lupus therapies, including Biogen, Astellas, approaching close, and various TYK2 inhibitors. The market can support multiple oral agents if efficacy is demonstrated. Q1 earnings. Preview. Pharma Q1 earnings season begins Tuesday. 5 questions every CFO will answer. And Foundeo, oral Wegovy competition. How is early oral GLP-1 uptake splitting between Lilly and Novo? Novo has 3 months of data. Lilly has 2 weeks. 2. Section 232 tariff impact. What are companies doing to secure exemptions? Who has MFN deals? Who is listing on Trump RX? 3. M&A capacity. With Gilead's 15B spree, Neurocrine's Soleno deal, and ongoing integration of Q1 transactions, what is remaining dry powder? Amgen, AbbVie, BMS and Novartis have the largest theoretical capacity. 4. China pipeline exposure. How are companies thinking about Chinese biotech partnerships given geopolitical pressure and the FDA's explicit framing of the expedited IND as a competitive response? 5. R&D productivity. With the global pipeline contracting for the first time since the 1990s, Citiline data, are companies cutting preclinical programs or reallocating to AI-accelerated discovery? Catalyst calendar, April 2026. Forward date event tickers, now, Foundeo, or Forglipron, approved, and rolling out LLY Now Revolution. Medicines 750 equity offering. Pricing RVMD April 21 ACR late-breaking data. Daraxonrasib plus chemo in 1L PDSC, earlier phase. RVMD April 21 Pharma. Q1 earnings season begins. Multiple April 22-24 ACE 2026. Las Vegas. Multiple April 2026. Novo Nordisk, Wegovy, HDU. S launch in VO April 2026 Heart Rhythm. 2026 Conference MDT, BSX, ABTMA. 6 Royalty Pharma Q1 earnings RPRX, May 2026 Riplimmune Type A. Meeting with FDA expected repeal June 2026. Takeda CEO transition. Julie Kim. Takeda 2026 Beeline Medicines. Afimetoran, Phase 2. SLE readout private H2. 2026 Revolution Medicines. CNPV NDA filing. Expected RVMD 2026 Sanofi amlitelimab. AD filing targeted SNY 2026 ESCO. Full RASolute 3-2 data presentation RVMD Q2 2026 Gilead Tubulis. Close expected GLD Q2 2026 Gilead Arcelor. Close expected GLD Q2 2026 Biogen Astellas. Close expected BI bid within 90 days. Neurocrine Soleno. Close expected NBIX late May 2026. Commerce Section 232 report on medical devices expected MDT BSX SYK ISR GH2 2026 Revolution. Medicines Resolute 309 doublet trial initiation, RVMDH2, 2026 Novo Nordisk a weekly, US launch, first weekly insulin, NVO July, One Foundeo Medicare, Part D pricing, 50-month, targeted LLY July, 31 section, 232 pharma tariffs, effective, large companies, multiple mid-2026 Lilly retatrutide phase 3 obesity readouts, Triumph program, LY Sept 19 Ultragenics, UX111 PDUFA, Sanfilippo type A gene therapy, Rare Sept 29 section 232 pharma tariffs, effective, all other companies, multiple end of 2026 PHRMA CEO transition NA, visit the Pro, Hub read, full article, is your company listed in the Biomed Nexus directory? 2104 companies across 14 categories. Claim or upgrade your listing. Sponsorship slots for 2026 are limited. See packages and pricing.